What's up, guys? It's Q&A time. But before we get into the questions and answers, just want to thank you guys for tuning into the YouTube channel. I've been seeing a lot of people commenting and being appreciative of the content. I hope it's helpful. So I appreciate all the comments, all the likes, all the shares, all the subscriptions. Again, I'm trying to post as much as possible. So if you hit the notification button, that will let you know when a new video comes out. So again, thank you for that. But let's get right into it. Thank you for the comments. I have a few questions that I wanted to address because I think it would help a lot of people out there. And sometimes I just have like commentary on a specific comment. And let's get right to it. So someone asks, what is a good guard pass against a heavier, bigger opponent? Is it better to use some speed against heavier opponents? So I guess it all is dependent on whether you think you're faster than that person or not, or whether you're actually faster than that person or not. And I would say speed is definitely a good component. And typically, if you are smaller than a bigger person, typically you may have a speed advantage against that person. Speed is not important unless you have an anticipation advantage or some kind of ability to deduce their options compared to your options. What do I mean by that? I guess it would mean, like, let's say if you are faster and you feel like this bigger opponent is on bottom, maybe you give them the one exit that they have, which is maybe to sit up or move forward. You knowing that they have that option, use that as a means to get to their back. So that would be a form of using speed and anticipation to take advantage of a larger opponent. The problem is if they're constantly aware of those things and not giving you those vulnerabilities. Control is always going to be a part of the equation. You can't use speed effectively if you don't have good control. And typically, if you have a high level of control, it's going to reduce your speed, right? So there's a little bit of a problem there, or perhaps a dilemma there for you. I'm always going to lead on the side of control. I'm an older guy, and I haven't been training as much, so I'm going to try to make sure that I limit my opponent's options as much as possible. So I'm going to move a little bit slower. Why? Because I want more control. And I use this analogy a lot. There's a difference between an F1 car and a tank, right? They both are two different tools for two different reasons or various reasons, but they're going to achieve different things. So as I'm moving through guard, I want to make sure that I don't let my opponent move around too much. I don't want them to push me off too much. So that means that that gap, that space between him and I I'm going to try to close that down as much as possible. If you're a bigger, stronger guy, getting to that tight position may be more challenging because they have longer limbs and because they have stronger muscles. So if I can find that happy medium between decent control or good control, not maximum control, but good control, and use my anticipation and speed to lead them or lure them into a position where I know I can kind of get around them, then that would potentially serve me well. So that's how I would answer that question. But for me personally, I'm always going to try my best to get maximum control. If that's not possible because they're pushing me away or because maybe they have longer limbs, then that's when I would try to look for my speed to try to get an advantage, where I'm kind of in that in between, getting them to kind of doubt their options to sit up or get some kind of grip to control me. That's where I'm going to be in that middle zone where maybe I can use my feet and my movement, elevate my position to try to move around them a little bit and anticipate what they're going to do. Okay. Hopefully that answered that question. I thought that was a solid one that was worth addressing. Here's an interesting one. Since when does the hip bump go backwards? So I think in one of the videos, or maybe two of the videos, I talk about the hip bump or the UPA sweep or the sit-up sweep, whatever you want to call it. And I acknowledge that if you're doing the bump sweep, you can kind of hit it and move to your side. That could work. The problem is if they have a wide base or if they're able to post their hands on the mat, it's not going to be so effective. Where they don't have stability or a frame behind them, that's where I would like to try to send them. So the hip bump for me, I think works very effectively when you actually bump them straight back, or at least at a 45-degree angle backwards, left or right, because they don't have the ability to post their arms so effectively behind them or their legs behind them, especially if they're squatting on their feet, they're on their knees, right? Now would be the time to go for the hip bump, of course. So, I thought this comment was interesting. So he said, "Since when does the hip bump go backwards?" Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I don't know what kind of context he's saying this. I'm assuming he's saying, "Hey, I learned that the hip bump goes left to right. What are you talking about that you hip bump going backwards?" There's a lot here. There's a lot to talk about here. First of all, they're assuming that what they knew was correct, and that maybe I'm incorrect, and that's maybe possible, or maybe it's just a matter of preference. I don't know. But this is kind of a big part of the problem of, I guess, anything, but I guess in the grappling community of teaching, of, hey, I learned it this way, therefore this must be correct. We, as martial artists, as humans, need to constantly question what we know and what we've been taught. The way we do that is by, learning from other people, questioning those things, and then trying those things. You don't know if you don't try it. So try it, see what works better, drill it, and then do it live, and continue to do it live, and continue to drill it until you get your answer that you're satisfied with. That may take, a few months. That may take a year. I don't know, depending on the complexity of the position. So try it, and don't just discount something because you were taught it this way, and therefore that is the truth. The truth is made to be sought after, right? We need to chase this stuff. It's not just fixed in time. What we know is the truth today could very well be different tomorrow. And that's why it's on us to really experiment, try different things, learn from different people, and figure it out for ourselves. I think we are our best teachers at the end of the day. So just wanted to address that comment. Last comment, pretty positive. I'm not just doing this to pat myself on the back, but I do want to give credit to some people out there. This comment says, "Great content. I feel like teachers don't focus on triggers for moves enough. Like, I know 5 moves from this position. Don't teach me a 6th. Teach me when to do each of the 5. So thank you for that comment. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, is I'm not trying to teach you necessarily a bunch of different techniques. I do have some of those things out there, and I will continue to teach some other techniques out there. What I'm trying to do is give you kind of the glue in between the positions, and I guess more importantly, to be more specific, give you an understanding of the position. Because if you have an understanding of the position, you can kind of teach yourself how to untie moves, how to go about putting all of those 5 moves together as opposed to just collecting moves. I think there's plenty of people out there teaching moves. And candidly, a lot of people doing a better job than me of teaching those moves. But I do think there is space for people to come in and teach you the understanding of the move, an understanding of the position. I don't think there's a whole lot of people doing that. And I'm certainly not the first, and I was definitely influenced by a lot of people over the course of my 30-year plus martial arts career. So I want to give credit to, I guess, first, the longest training partner that I've had, my brother Keith Florian. I wouldn't be teaching in this way if I didn't have him as a great training partner and teacher as well. The first time that I saw like more of a conceptual approach, I think, was, obviously I heard about Rickson and saw some of the stuff in his videotapes, him talking about it. But one of his black belts, Henry Akins, was in Brazil at the time that I was there. I think I was a brown belt at the time, and he was showing me some stuff, and it just resonated with me tremendously. And I realized like how much I needed that and how important it was for me to tie things together. And what I found was, if I found a principle in a certain position, let's say he would show me from just one position, and I would be like, wait a sec, that same thing applies here, and it applies here. And it allowed me to kind of get a deeper understanding for jiu-jitsu. So I found that really powerful, and it had a big impact on me. And I said, well, I need to investigate these things, and find more of this stuff. It was gold. And the other person who perhaps has had the biggest influence on me on how I see jiu-jitsu and how I think about jiu-jitsu is Ryan Hall. I think he was really doing this before anyone, maybe, after Hickson, of course, but Ryan was doing this on a larger scale through instructionals. Hickson wasn't putting out instructionals. Ryan Hall was. And I think he was giving people great understanding of position and really revolutionizing it as a result. And when I had the opportunity to first start working with Ryan, I think back in 2014 or so, I was just getting back after like a couple year layoff from jiu-jitsu because of my back, and really wanted to kind of start from the ground up. And Ryan contacted me about wanting to learn mixed martial arts, and I said, yeah, cool, just teach me some jiu-jitsu, man. I want to get back into this. And I found his approach to be extremely helpful, and the way that I see positions is largely due to him, since then. So he's been a huge help over the last 10, 11 years for me, and a big influence on me. And if you guys are interested in learning about deep principles and applying it in more advanced ways, I highly suggest you check out Ryan and his instructionals. He's been a great friend and a great mentor for me, and influenced me a lot. So yeah, those are kind of the people that have influenced why I teach in this manner. I found it to be extremely helpful, and it's gotten me to really try to think about things in a different way. In some cases, I'm recycling things that they've already taught me. In some cases, I'm giving a new wrinkle, and in other cases, I'm kind of just applying that to a different position. And in other cases, I'm coming up with stuff that I came up with, based on that critical thinking about positions. So, I just wanted to give credit to those guys for helping me see jiu-jitsu in this manner. And I do think that there's space for this, and not a whole lot of people doing this. So I just wanted to kind of help out in that regard, and I hope that you guys continue to find it helpful. If there are other questions that you have or other things that you want me to talk about or show, please hit me up in the comments. And thank you guys for the support and for checking out the channel.